Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann HESS, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Hello, I'm Regina McCann HESS, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend. And Tina, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tina Hamilton. I'm a CEO and founder of myHR Partner. myHR Partner is an HR outsourcing company. We work with small to mid-sized organizations and private foundations across the United States. We're in about 43 states right now. And what I love about what I do, and I truly mean this, is I'm not an HR person. I'm not an HR person that started this company. I'm an entrepreneur that started this company, and it became an HR company. That was not the intent. And what I love about it is I get to work every day with small to mid-sized organizations that are trying to grow through their people and really establish the right type of culture and environment to thrive. And I can't think of anything that would makes me happier than that.
Yeah,
So
that sounds awesome. Dealing with people all day long.
yeah.
So, so let me make sure I understand. So, as an HR resource person, so you're helping small, medium-sized businesses who do not have their own HR department, and you're stepping in and doing some of those tasks and roles for them to support them.
Yeah. Yeah. The majority, we have about 70% of our clients have no HR department at all. We come in and we do all or some of the work, and we literally do the work. They're not outsourcing, like working with a consultant that's telling them how to do it. We're physically coming in and taking over that department or parts of that department. And then for the mid-sized companies, they will outsource very particular processes to us. Very common ones are hiring. We're not a staffing service, but they'll use us to do the work of hiring. We're just paid to do the work. And we do it very, very well. That's actually what the company was founded on. I never expected it to turn into an HR company. It did. But yeah, so payroll processing along with their payroll company, compliance. It's very complicated now. People will outsource that. So yeah, all kinds of things, employee relations, you name it. Anything
Wow,
underneath your umbrella, almost. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Now, how did that evolve? It sounds like it was, like you said, not what you intended, but it evolved that way.
It's pretty interesting because it actually started from a dream, which I know sounds really far out, but it's a true
No.
100% my dream. I had a different business that I sold, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. My other business was in staffing world, and the staffing world is great again. And I just sold, so I couldn't anyway. I was under non-compete for a few years. So I knew that there were a lot of companies that would contact us, in particular, small, well-established companies where they're growing and they need the right people, but they're not really sure how to identify the right people. They're good at what they do, great at what they do, success, but hiring is very difficult if it isn't something that you've been trained on or good
Oh,
at. Yeah,
yes,
most
very
people
difficult.
haven't been formally trained in that. They just do it because they think they know like who works out there. But so that was the idea. They would do the work and just get paid to do the work. But the objective was to get to know them so well that is as if we work within that company. Because in the staffing world, the big hole that I felt was missing is people call and you look in your database to see who you have that's the closest match. You're not going into the company, understanding everything about them, and then going out and finding that person that fits there. That was the goal. And from there, a very long story short, as you can imagine, and they could see it that we were helping them hire better people, but still, some were still leaving. They were still having turnover. So we started digging a little deeper and realized we can't control what happens once they hire them, right? So then what? So it's like a then what? So we started seeing like basic fundamental things that companies didn't have: job descriptions, handbook, policies, just an understanding of how to navigate working in that environment, onboarding. So we started little by little adding, and truly every time we added something, the client would ask for the next thing. Until one day, a company came to us in about 2015 and said, "Would you do all of our HR?" And my first answer was absolutely no, no way. I have no idea. I'm not an HR person. I don't know how to do that. And then they were pushing and pushing. They really did not want to take no for an answer. We did not end up working with that company because I didn't feel prepared, but another company and then another. And next thing you know, we start working on this new offering of outsourced HR.
Mm.
And that's literally that's how our clients dictated who we became. We even had to change our name. And in 2008, when the market crashed and everybody, everybody, but so many businesses were really feeling the pain and suffering. We really felt it because we
Mm.
got hit. Hiring was still the biggest part of our business, but then as things started coming around, it took years for the hiring to really come back, but the HR came back. People started
Mm.
asking for more and more of that. And then we had to reestablish ourselves as an HR company, HR outsourcing, and hiring did come back. Now it's full force again.
Mhm.
But it became a line item under all the things that we do. So it's
Yeah,
not just our defining service offering. Yeah.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that story.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, it's worked out really good for us. And we found a little niche by accident with private foundations. So these are companies with private money, commonly extremely successful people. And we work with these private foundations who require very small, usually, but require a lot more handholding. They're used to a more robust HR department than they would in a small company. But these are people that have the means to be able to afford more than that and want that. And so we love our private foundation world. That became a niche over the years. Very interesting work too, since we're working with commonly companies owned by billionaires, and but they're
Hmm.
small and sometimes as small as 10 people or as big as a few hundred, but out there for a very good cause. And we love being part of them as well.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I love
It
it.
really
I love
is.
it. Yeah, and you were able to like just lean into it, right?
Right.
You saw an opportunity and you leaned into it.
It's true, right? And really, that's when people ask about our success, it truly it sounds so corny and overused, but we really heard what the clients wanted. And if you really listen to what they want and are willing to pivot and willing to put your ego aside for a minute as to what you built or what you think you were going to be and listen. I mean, you can't go crazy every time something changes, but if you
Right.
hear things over and over, you have to pay attention. You have to be willing to um, to pivot, I guess that's the best word, and really think about, who you want to be for your clients. And it's worked out so beautifully for us. I couldn't be happier. And believe me, I never expected in a billion years. I'm an entrepreneur that started a company. It became an HR company. I'm literally the biggest rule breaker on the planet Earth. And now I own a company. It's all about rules and regulations and compliance. So who knows why these things happen? Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Yeah.
you. Good for you. That's a great journey though, right?
Yeah, it's been a great journey, right? And we're expanding this year significantly on purpose, and we're really excited about where we're going, and the
Mhm.
opportunities that we can give our people too, because that's a big part of it for me is giving people a work environment that's wonderful for them, and that they have a good life, and it's you're affecting families,
Yeah,
with 43 employees, so affecting the lives of 43 people.
it's a
And
lot.
yeah, we love that. Yeah, and we just actually just won. I think it was our second time the Inc. Best Places to Work. Not an
Get
easy
out.
win. Yeah, and we just found out 17th is today 17th. Yeah, today's the day
Yeah.
they announced it. Yeah, hopefully
Wow.
I'm in big trouble. Um,
No, it
yes,
won't air for a while. Don't worry.
we put a lot of focus on creating a great work environment for people because that's what we're doing for our clients, right? So if our place isn't a great place to work, right, we can't
Yeah.
expect our
Right,
clients.
right.
Yeah. But it's actually
Yeah.
what I actually care about. I care about that more than anything is creating environments. I mean, the compliance and the payroll, those are all necessary things that have to happen that we do for our clients, but it's creating that great work environment. It's what helps come grow. You can, but you'll have a lot of trouble. You'll waste a lot of resources and time dealing with headaches and problems. Where if you just
Mhm.
create a great work environment for people, let them have all that they need to be successful, happy, and calm, and you're going to win.
Yeah.
Unless you're responsible otherwise, right? You're going to
Yeah.
win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, curious question more about the not your company per se, but the environment. as far as hiring. We're hearing hiring or has slowed down. Companies aren't, putting their positions out there. What are you seeing from your
Oh, yeah.
side?
Well, there's no question. We're busy um, with a lot of new clients requesting help with hiring, oddly. But our current clients, it's way down.
Mm,
Everybody's putting things on hold. They're waiting. And it's a very, very complicated environment because um, it's not like a recession where there's trends and you kind of know what's going to happen next. What's
right.
happening, I won't get political,
Mhm,
but what's happening is there's uncertainty, but there's uncertainty as to when the uncertainty will ever end, too,
mhm.
right?
Okay.
'Cause the
Fair.
uncertainty's out there because of things that are happening, decisions being made out of our control for the so nobody knows. Very challenging, but we are telling our clients, and this is going to sound salesy, but I mean it with all sincerity. If you do need to hire this year, now is the time because there's so few jobs out there. There are people that normally would not be available. They'd be snatched up quickly. They're out there. I
Yeah.
promise you they're out there because people I know that have changed jobs or got laid off because of circumstances that are happening, et
Hmm.
cetera.
Hmm.
These are amazing people looking for work. They never would have called me and said, "Do you know anybody?" Or because they would have found a job pretty easily, and now they're
Right.
out. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it really is a good, it's kind of like um, if you remember during COVID when companies were calling people back to the office, and then there was like this massive exodus of people that said, I like working at home. I'm not going to come back to work here. I'm going to go somewhere else where I can keep working at home. It almost feels like that a little bit, but not,
Yeah.
not extreme, not as extreme, obviously, but it's large
Yeah.
businesses to hire great people. And now you can afford to do it, but you shouldn't do it if you can't afford it. If too much uncertainty, obviously it's a little frightening, but
Right, right. And because there's less jobs, you can get a quality hire versus when people were hiring in COVID, they
oh
got
yeah,
all sorts of not great hires.
settling for what's left, right? Like kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that was an awful environment for hiring.
no, right, right. And I can't tell you the last time, it's almost like an oxymoron that people say this is a great environment for hiring because if you follow that world, there's been a shortage of people for the last almost 10 years, and it's
Yeah.
just worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. We knew it was coming because people started having less kids. How long ago? 20, 25 years ago, people, in my
Yeah.
world, I was born in the 60s. People had three, four, five kids. That was very common. Now people have one or two. You don't see
Hmm.
as common people even having three. It seems like a
Hmm.
lot, right? Let
Yeah.
alone four or five. So we knew it was coming and it's here. So it's again very rare that you hear great opportunity, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I'm hearing that there's a lot of companies who, like you said, do need to hire, but they're just putting it off.
yep,
And I'm also hearing that some of them are thinking, all right, we're just putting it off till September. Now that may get pushed back again.
yeah,
But that's kind of like some of the word I'm hearing. And I'm also hearing the college kids having a hard time getting jobs.
yeah.
And they just have to be resilient and figure it out.
It's a pretty big deal because I get calls here and there because we do a lot of PR in my business. So I've interviewed with, and I write two business columns, so I get called a lot from journalists. And in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I got two calls from Wall Street Journal and one from USA Today, all talking about wanting to interview me about this exact subject. So when it's that level of people calling, then it's a big deal. And
Yeah.
everybody, it's the uncertainty that's the news,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knows what to do. Well, nobody knew what to do
Right.
during COVID either,
Right, right.
but
And
uh,
that's it's a
yeah,
cycle, right? I mean, right now it's political, but like when there's companies are also putting off spending because they don't, what are what's the new tax bill going to be, things like that. So it is part of a cycle that we go through. But people like with the stock market, the market reacts to uncertainty. So just like the job market's going to react to uncertainty. So it's not surprising. It's just interesting to watch from the sidelines.
it is because the decisions that are being made aren't, and this is going to sound like I'm being political, but it's inconsistent. The tariffs change, from one thing to the other. So a lot of our clients are in manufacturing,
Hmm.
distribution, or on the business side of things, which are affected by manufacturing and
Hmm.
distribution, right? So um, that's the harder part. If we just knew this is going to be what the tariff amount is, then you could plan and work around it. But it's the changing of things is making it really hard.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're just
yeah,
kind of praying that a decision's made, whatever it is, and we can
yeah.
move forward. And yeah,
Yeah, it's just kind of like, and I like to parlay it to things that people also see happening normally. Like when the Fed starts talking about raising rates or lowering rates, well, raising rates usually has the stock market in a tizzy on the negative side. So they threaten, threaten, threaten. And every time they threaten, it's that uncertainty and the stock market goes down. And then by the time they do it, like after the fifth or sixth time they've threatened it and they do it, they pull the lever. The market doesn't respond because they're like, all right,
oh no kidding.
yeah, we got it. We know, you know. So
Wow.
hopefully there's some kind of similar comparison. I don't know. I'm not good at politics.
And
But I'm sure there's like we want this. It's probably going to wind up the other, somewhere in the middle or somewhere on the other side. But it's the wrangling of by the time we get there, hopefully things will settle down. But in between, it's going to be like, volatility
yes,
of,
right. Yep.
jobs, no jobs, things like that, and stock
And,
market too.
I was told by a finance person that watch the larger businesses when they start recovering. It trickles down the small. And we've been watching, and it did seem okay. But then Procter and Gamble, I think, just announced the
Yeah,
layoff
they
of
laid off. Yeah,
7,000
they let off
people
people.
because of the uncertainty and because of the tariffs. So that's where it starts getting scary. But,
Yeah,
we can't live in fear. We can't run our
yeah.
businesses on that. You just got to be smart. And I think like you would probably give much better advice than me. I'm the opposite of what you do, but of, really just, making sure you're putting away enough for your business so that you're prepared for these downturns in that world. In that regard, I meant, sorry.
For sure, for sure. Now, if people will learn more about you and your business, where would they go to learn that?
Yeah. So myhrpartner.com is our website. That would be probably the best place. Of course, we have
Okay.
Facebook and Instagram and all that, but yeah, everything's there. We'd love to hear from anybody interested. Of course, anytime.
Yeah, no, obviously there's so much that you can offer to small, medium-sized businesses, and you said the private family groups. What were they called again? How did you
Private found
private foundations, families?
foundations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
usually,
go.
but it's not just family business, which is meant a founder. It's
Yeah,
private foundations are typically come from family businesses, right? And they create foundations that they want to give back to. It's not like a
yeah,
fundraising situation.
which is awesome. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman?
Oh, professional woman. You
Yeah.
um, it's there, it's there. But I'll tell you, one of the reasons, I just want to say this, one of the reasons when I sold my first business, a lot of my clients were large companies, large corporations. And when I'd said, what do I want to do next? I knew it was going to be another business. The first thing I decided was I wanted to deal with small to mid-sized businesses because I wanted people to just roll up their sleeves, want to get in, get their work done, and do it the right way or do the right things, etc. Um, not to say that not to say that small businesses don't have a level of um, what is that? Whatever the right word would be of not being inclusive, perhaps with women.
Mm,
Like in
mhm.
larger businesses that have been around a long time, and because of that, they were started by men, which is what it was. It's not,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's where you see a lot of it. I see less of it in my business. It's not that often, um, but here and there, there's that moment where somebody. Um, we had a we had a consultant that was working with us, no longer with us, that every time I would talk to him about something amazing that we came up with that worked and did, he would act very surprised. And it felt, yeah, it you could feel it. It wasn't just,
Just condescending, really.
yes. And it was surprising to me because in this day and age that people I just don't understand it and I don't
Yeah.
accept it. And I just I don't play the game, you know? So,
Right.
I was always kind and nice, but I think there was maybe once or maybe twice where I said, why do you seem so surprised?
Good for you. Good for you. Call them out on it.
Right, because it's probably harder for people that haven't experienced it, that to know what it feels like. I am, in comparison, I'm Jewish and my father's a Holocaust survivor.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so I've watched when you're Jewish and you don't necessarily, it doesn't appear, you don't appear that way. You get to be in rooms with a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about
Mm,
things. So I think I just am used to it
yeah.
overall, but I've never participated. Like, I don't listen. I think it's wonderful and extremely necessary to have women's groups and women's advocates, but I don't really. That's not where I put my energy. I put my energy into learning how to be better and good and focus in there versus and then I don't have to deal with it, right? Because I'm just being myself, and if people either accept it or they don't accept it, and that's the end.
Yep.
I don't play games. I'm not going to, and it's a beauty of being an entrepreneur because you can choose,
Love it. Yes, you can. Yes, you
right?
can. Yeah. I mean, I am very careful about the clients I bring on. Like,
So you, yeah,
if you're nasty and going to be mean to my staff or my team,
right.
no, you're not my client. Like, no,
Oh, yes.
unacceptable.
My client. We actually have a list of who's we call it our client. Literally of we won't go in and try and manage somebody's human resources that treat their people like crap. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll never win because it's
Yeah, yeah.
from the top
Yeah.
down. And
Yeah.
there's no magic that we can do to make the top down better if they're not interested in being better.
A
Uh,
hundred percent. A
Yes,
hundred
so
percent.
I love having that freedom. Again, luckily with the dealing with these small and mid-sized, the more modern thinking companies, we usually don't run into that. It's usually the less modern thinking, the more
Mm,
stuck in our
mm.
ways kind of,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Can
yeah.
you
I know
say that?
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So let's get in a little time machine and look at the future. And what does your retirement vision look like?
Ah. I think about it a
Probably another business.
I think about it a lot. Well, I've had, well, two, and I have a little real estate, nothing big. Um, so I have three things that I've done. And, when I was younger, I wanted to have like five or six businesses. I don't know why I was crazy.
Gosh, I can barely take care of one. You're talking multiples.
Right? Knew
Mhm.
without knowing that is being an entrepreneur. Now imagine a life. I do a lot of volunteer work, sometimes in other countries. I just recently joined an organization where we were helping underserved entrepreneurs in uh, third world countries. So this one in particular was in Jamaica, established the business, but they had very limited people that the minimum wage, I think, is $2 or $3 an hour, like really
Oh,
just very,
wow.
you know, just not, yeah. But they had the wherewithal to start a business, but they have no resources and or they have no role models
Mhm.
because they have nobody around them that's
Yeah.
successful. So there's
Okay.
how do you imagine it? So
Yeah.
I joined this organization. We went out there, we worked one-on-one, mentored. I got to continue some work remotely with that. So I think it's going to be something in that world um, where I continue to do something because when you're a business owner, if you're truly an entrepreneur, then your excitement and your happiest place is in building the business. That's
Hmm.
where you're all in. That's where the day flies by. You've worked 15 hours. It feels like you just started. That's what you are. You're not the thing that you're selling, you're
Yeah.
that. And so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
who I am, who I've always been. I could probably open any type of business, not that I would be good at it. I'm not obnoxious, but you know what I mean? Like I could, if I learned it and knew it, it's the building of the business that I love. And so you have to replace it, right? That's the way I feel. I have to replace it with something just as satisfying. But my business is running very well. We have a good leadership team. So I could slow down and and just continue with it. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
preparing it. We're preparing it so that if God forbid something did happen to me, or
Yeah.
something, the business is, in a healthy shape and ready for sale. And you should always be doing that. But
Hmm.
purposely doing that now, like we've actually hired an organization to help us develop it further to make sure it's, sustainable into the future. or for, the one day when I am ready. So
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. It's good. It's just planning. That's all. That's all.
yeah.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much. This has been so cool. Love getting to learn more about your business and very, very curious about it. So it's been a great conversation.
Well, thank you, Regina. I loved being on here and talking to you again. It's our
Yeah,
second,
our second time
podcast.
together.
Yeah.
Woohoo. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us. Again, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. I think our action item today should be, get out there and do what you can to make it a better place. Just like everyone, we were talking about family foundations, they're giving back to the community. And I love that part of the conversation. So thanks and have a great day. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific, individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.